The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to The John Lebang Show.
How you doing, Wayne?
Good, how are you?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Wayne S. Pierce on the other line, way out in Montana. How are things out there, Wayne?
Well, as good as expected. We had, from this morning's news, we had 2 more confirmed cases, and of course, not much information after that. It's pretty much self-quarantined and, take care of yourself, drink lots of water, warm water, that kind of thing. Just a lot of home remedies that seem to work, so.
Are there a lot of cases in your state?
It really isn't that many. I would say,
it's under 20, right?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Conservatively speaking, I mean, from what I can't remember what I saw this morning, but I know it's not that many. So,
what's your take on what's going on in New York and California, Pennsylvania, and the ever-growing states of what they're calling a stay home and shelter, but for the most part, it's a form of quarantine or martial law, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, it is. I just saw a video. We just saw a video on YouTube from a guy in Louisiana, New Orleans, and it's empty. Right now, in the springtime, there should be thousands of people on the street. It's empty. Businesses are boarded up. New York, from what I could tell, is, well, unless it's essential, yeah, it's a ghost town. California is California. I mean, take your pick of what problems over there, but sheltering in place is a form, I think, of martial law. So,
do you think it's an overreaction?
Yeah, I think people are just, they're just losing it. They're thinking, and I think it has a lot to do with the mainstream media, the fear-mongering from that point. But I'm also thinking that, people are just, blowing it out of proportion. It really isn't anything, as far as I can tell, other than massive fear. But, every year, how many times a year do people get sick? How many times a year do people get something? You know what I mean?
No, I understand that, but I'm about a video away. I just finishing up on a video on the official numbers of deaths versus confirmed cases that have been counted, and then the people who have recovered from it. And I'm telling you, Wayne, the mainstream media's numbers are not high enough, according to their own numbers, of what would be completed cases. I'm not talking of all the cases across the board, because since a good portion of the cases are still ongoing, that we can't count them in the confirmed as being over. Either you died or you've recovered. And from what I can tell, the mainstream media, the government, are taking the deaths and dividing it by the whole number and not the completed cases. And my numbers tonight and my next video that's going to be coming out very shortly is going to show that 11.7% of the confirmed cases that are done, either dead or recovered, 11.7% are people that have died from this. The completed cases. That's pretty high.
Yeah. In the full numbers, yeah. I mean, specifically in each state, from what I've seen so far, I mean, we've seen more recovered in some places, and some people, and also you got to think of those people that aren't even going to the hospital, have themselves checked out. They're just self-quarantining and staying home, and they're feeling yucky for a couple of weeks. But again, this is a serious thing, and people do die from it. But yeah, I agree with you on that stance, is that I don't think all the numbers are in as far as how many cases there are as compared to the recovered or, the deaths.
Now, we've seen President Trump in recent days change his rhetoric towards China, because he was talking pretty positively towards them in the very beginning of all this, but now that we found out their numbers weren't very accurate and they didn't tell us the honest truth, Trump's changed his tone with them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, when he at first he came out and said it was their problem, and why didn't they tell us and all this, and now he's going, let's see. he's being a little silent. I think somebody kind of said something in his ear and said, let's not blow this out of proportion. Too many people are going overboard with this. So I don't think he's. What was that? I don't think he's contradicting himself, but I think he's being safe from what I've heard. He's not, giving the whole information because he doesn't want people to panic, and I certainly don't want people to panic either. But his tone has changed a bit over the last few weeks.
And I don't fault him for that, because as more information comes out, as they're finding out more details, you have to be able to be flexible in your position, because this is changing. I mean, the news cycle is changing on an hourly basis with this specific virus.
Right. Yeah, I see that. It's at one point yesterday I was watching the news, and watching clips on YouTube, of course, and in one sense it was everything's going to be fine. There are no new numbers coming in, and that afternoon I saw something else, and it was like these numbers came in, and it's like you said, it things change, and news reports change, and it seems like now it's changing like every 5 minutes. It's like, what do we actually know? I mean, are they going to tell us everything that we need to know to keep ourselves safe?
Well, I can't answer that, but I can answer that they're not going to tell us everything they know, because as you just mentioned just a few seconds ago, it would put us into a panic. If they came out and told you what my numbers are telling me, and I'm using their official numbers from Johns Hopkins. Right. 11.7% of the confirmed completed cases, and the result is death. So if they said that would cause a massive panic. We're already seeing that the stock market and all your 401ks and everything has just been flushed down the toilet. Now, do you think the upcoming $1 trillion plus in stimulus is the right move? Because I actually think just shutting everything down, even payments and bills and everything for 2 weeks, is a pretty decent short-term solution than just doing the socialist hand out a bunch of money and hope that works.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, everybody, and I'm sure there's people out there going, oh, good, the government's going to give me money. I don't know. To me, I don't believe that's a really good idea. I agree with your idea. Just shut everything down for a while, let it go through its course, and several posts I've seen said the same thing. It's like, this will move itself and we'll work through this. The market will adjust to this, downturn a little bit. And, after a few months, it'll come back a lot stronger. I really think we just need to take it easy a little bit, and just whatever non-essential businesses, need to stop for a while. And I think that's a good idea. Handing out money is just, that's just not going to fix the situation.
But it's a socialist solution to this problem, and how is it that Trump is being cornered into this?
Well, I would have to say it's the Democrats. Now they're starting to get on Trump's side because he's starting to, do things their way. But I think there's something behind that for his benefit. He's doing it just to appease them at this point. That's my thought. That's my opinion on it. But I really don't, again, I don't think throwing money at the situation is going to fix this. I think it's really going to have to be people taking care of themselves, doing what they have to do. And if they have to stop doing business for a while and let the market adjust or let their environment around them adjust, then I think that's the better move.
And you hear the neocons, they're really starting to pump the hate China like it's all their fault, and even the president himself has kind of hinted to it's from China, and he's calling it the Wuhan virus. Do you really think that we should hold China accountable for this?
It came out of there. How it was released or leaked or whatever, however it came about, I think we need to seriously, do a reality check on our relationship with China overall. But I think in this specific situation, I think we need to really, get in there and tell them, hey, look, this is a worldwide thing, and we need to check out your facilities. I mean, I don't know how that's going to happen, but we really need to hold them responsible for this in that specific area. And I think once we find something, whether it be, they released it on purpose or whatever, I think whatever verdict after that should be done.
Now, you touch on something right there. You said whether they released it. The phantom menace in all of this is Russia. They, as far as I can tell, have one or a couple cases, not a whole lot, while the entire rest of the Western world and the major countries of the planet are ravished by this. I happen to believe that if there's anybody who did this, I think it was Russia who did this and is framing China for it. And they, as we know with the KGB, they are masters of framing countries.
Yeah. I tend to believe that because of the things that they've done, not only here recently in the last 4 years, and of course the president's relationship with Putin. I can speculate all day long, but I really think that, because China's relationship with Russia is pretty tight. Our relationship with Russia is kind of iffy. So
yeah, but we just did a deal. Remember when this all hit down? We did a major deal with them, and then this all started coming down. Right after, and this is another little thing just hanging out there. Right after and right during the end of the impeachment, when the whole world knew that it was a sham, and this is almost like another phase of the coup. I'm not saying it is, but it is sure working in that direction.
It's a blueprint from the Democratic Party for sure on that, on that level, because when did the news of this virus come out? What, November, December, and then a bigger news came out in January, February, and when you put two and two together, obviously you're right. I mean, the impeachment process for all this on the Democratic Party side was a sham. We all know it. We all know they lied. And now this happens, So what my other thought is, what relationship does the Democratic Party have with China in that regard, as far as the plans to overthrow the U.S. from for the Democrats, or on the other side of that, what relationship does the Democratic Party have with Russia? Well, Hillary Clinton, for instance, had a relationship with Russia.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders is a communist. I mean, yeah.
The Clintons had big ties to China back when they were running things. I mean, didn't they give them nuclear secrets?
They did, and of course we can't forget Obama, who's still trying to. Well, he's still behind the scenes trying to move things, you know.
And let's not forget all the news about the Bidens and how close their ties and how much money they made in China.
Yeah. So there's a three-way connection here, apparently, through the Bidens and Clintons and Russia and China. You know.
And as we all know from Mr. Rahm Emanuel, you can't let a good crisis go to waste.
Exactly.
Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John LeBang Show will be right back. Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane and the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John LeBang Show.
It's better than an iReader convention.
Now, isn't it funny, Wayne, that the past 3.5, 4 years, we've heard that Donald Trump is the dictator, right? He's going to be a dictator, Hitler. We've heard all that. But it's Democrat governors that are taking the dictatorial, authoritative measures in their own states.
Exactly. And I know people in California. I talked to my brother about a month ago. He's like, I want out of this state. I want out. And it's like everybody I know in California is like, we're packing up and leaving as soon as this stuff is over. We're getting out of here. California is, to me, I was born and raised in California, and I can tell you right now from being there and then separating myself from that whole state, it's done. California's done. California's a city-state under dictator Gavin Newsom, and that's just the way it is. You can just look at it, connect the dots and follow the money. Same thing with New York and Cuomo. Yeah, it looks good on the outside, but no, you get in there and you'll see it.
But let's be frank, they took these measures, these dictatorial powers, because the average sheeple wouldn't stay home when they were advised to stay home by the president.
Exactly.
So you gave them the opportunity to become these dictators.
Yeah. And common sense and logic says, hey, if this is what it is, if this virus is as contagious as it is, and you're either going to feel lousy for a few weeks or you're going to die, common sense and logic says self-isolate, stay home, and if you are able to, do your work from home. If not, then take a few weeks off or something, take vacation time. And yeah, I agree. This whole thing, the dictating powers of these states is only allowed because of the sheeple. It's like, well, screw you, I'm going out there anyway because I got to do this. And then, of course, I heard the other day that somebody got detained by the military, by the National Guard, because he left. He left his house and was going somewhere.
Well, I can tell you, I live down the street from a National Guard base, and there are more cars there than normal at this time of the month. They have their once-a-month thing they get together, and that was actually about 3 weeks ago. And the other day was about a third of the parking lot full, and I'm seeing more cars starting to trickle in. That's here in Michigan. We have a Democratic governor. Eventually, she's already been curbing a lot of they just cut back on hair salons and tattoos today, tattoo art shops and all that. Slowly, incrementally, they were removing things because people didn't follow the advice of the government. So that gave these governors these powers to go ahead and say, well, if you can't listen, if you're children, we're going to have to control you. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I see that. And every time I see something, a news clip on YouTube or whatever, or see a post or somebody posts a video on Facebook or Twitter, I'm just like looking at that going, I know what's coming around the corner if this does not stop within the next couple of weeks, or a month or so. I mean, businesses here are shut their doors. I mean, the theater I go to that I volunteer at sometimes, or I do shows at, they just put a post on Facebook. They're closed either until the end of spring or the early summer. So it's like, I know plumbers that have to get out. That's essential business. So obviously these people have to work, and these businesses have to stay open, and plumbing is a big thing. So these people are out, going to work. And it's like, man, how do you, as an individual, look upon this and see any good coming from it in a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, if people don't start doing, what they need to do? And I'm not saying rebel against the government. That's just stupid. Just, common sense and logic. Just, stay at home, do what you have to do. If, like I said, if you can, if your work requires you or is allowing you to work from home, do that from home. But just, and on the flip side of that, if these governors are going to, be egotistical and dictatorial and all this, then the people of those states have to rebel against that authority in some way, shape, or form.
But you have to wait to let it play out to make sure that they're not actually looking out for the welfare of the people. You have to actually let them cross that line and be the bad guy. For the American people to have the moral high ground, we actually have to let the government pull the first bad move, so we have the right to fight back.
Exactly, and that's what the Declaration of Independence says. I mean, but we have the duty and the responsibility to do that. And, to me, because I was in the military, you don't do anything until your life is in jeopardy, and you don't take the action you need to defend yourself until, like you said, until somebody crosses that line. But we're going to have to do that hopefully we won't. But I'm saying if that point comes where the government says, like Nazi Germany coming in and just closing up shop, I don't want to see it. I really don't, and I'm sure the majority of the population of America doesn't, but we're going to have to be prepared just in case.
Well, that was my problem when Trump went ahead and declared the national emergency, because it put into action a half a dozen or a dozen executive orders that was dropped into the FEMA director's hands and then extended out to the governors, who are actually taking those dictatorial powers instead of Trump. Now, Trump may not have known, and sometimes you got to wonder how much he knows about the past executive orders and what will take place and what doesn't. I mean, he's still a new guy, 4 years in, but he's still fairly new to the whole political process compared to these lifetimers out there. If he wasn't advised well enough, or maybe, and this is what some of the chatter I'm hearing, is that he did that to let these people show their true colors, so we can now start picking out the swamp pretty easily, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. It's like I relate it to. I relate some of my metaphors to movies, like The Wizard of Oz. Toto went and pulled the curtain away from the wizard. Oh, don't never mind that person. I think you're onto something there, where Trump just said, okay, I'm going to pull away the curtain a little bit, show you what's going on, but then I'll just leave it open and go over here and do business and take care of what I got to take care of, and everybody's seeing what's going on. What the result is what we're having now. Governors are going, well, since I'm exposed, I might as well just do my dictatorial thing and take over this state. And it's.
But you notice it's primarily Democratic governors. There are a few Republican governors that have taken some swift action, but in general, it's the Democratic governors that have taken these kind of powers.
Yeah, it's always been the Democrats. I mean, I know it's frustrating to try to figure all this stuff out, because they're, like you said, the news changes like every hour upon the hour. But we really have to take and look at what these governors are doing, and specifically the governors, and then really push our legislators in those states and in Congress to put the kibosh on their movements, on these governors' movements. Is it not the right of the people to go to Congress and put in their grievance? And isn't it, I mean, could the president or the vice president or the attorney general come along and tell the governors, you either knock it off or we'll, you're out?
But he's not but he's not doing that, and
No,
that bothers me a little bit. But if I'm trying to stay positive, I'm thinking that maybe he's allowing unfortunately, some people are going to call me a little conspiracy theorist here, but he's allowing the lines in the sands for the Civil War to be drawn out right through with this emergency.
I think he's exposing the left for what they are, the Democrats, the Democratic Socialists, and all those. I really believe he's doing that. And I think for the last 4 years, people have already, seen that, and it's fully out in their face now that these people are there and what they're trying to do. But I really think that he's just in the last, I don't know what it's been, a couple of months. Yeah, I believe he's drawn a line in the sand, and he says, hey, if you cross it, the people are going to do what they do, but you've been exposed. So
I think he's letting them draw their lines in the sand, actually. He's sitting back and letting them draw their own lines. And do you follow Q at all? Do you follow that guy?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
There's been some chatter. I'm not a Q guy, but I do follow a few people that report on him, and that keeps me up to date on what that guy's doing or whoever these guys are. It's like a movement. It's like the modern day, what do they call it? Anonymous, right? I mean, that's pretty much what Q is, right?
Right.
So or Q or whoever this guy is talking about that Trump's allowing all this to happen, so everybody is put in their house to be safe for the big action and the arrests coming. Now, I don't technically believe that, all right, because I'm not a big I don't think that we're ever going to see the arrests. Notice how the Durham report is coming out, and we're never going to see the light of day because this crisis is happening. It's going to be just like when Rumsfeld told us there was a couple $1 billion missing from the Pentagon the day before 9/11. 9/11 happens. We never talk about it again.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we can look at this thing and say, okay, here's what we have, and being positive here. Here's what we have. Here's our ability to do what we do as citizens and as voters, because this is an election year. And after that, then, okay, we'll see what happens. Now, on the other side of that, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier through Messenger, and I said, I believe that President Trump has, that old saying, give them an inch and they'll take a mile.
Yep.
I think President Trump gave them a foot of rope, and they thought it was, 10 feet of rope, and President Trump's going to allow them to hang themselves at the end of this.
But how is that going to work out? Because I don't know. I can't see that to its through point. I hear what you're saying, and I would like to believe what you're saying, but as of today, I can't see that line that gets us there.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like, okay, this is where it is, but where is the end result? What is going to happen? I agree with you. There's not going to be any arrests. For the last 4 years, we kept hearing this, and it never happened. And so I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, if at all. So for the left, or for whoever is trying to overthrow this country, for them to for the end result to have them be in prison, I don't see that coming anytime soon. So right now, I would have to say that, yeah, I don't see an endpoint to it either. But I do believe that people are starting to, the American citizens, the voters, are starting to ask questions and demand answers, and they're starting to really see what's going on. And I think I believe in the faith of the voters. They're going to do what's right, but I also see something, like you said, you don't see an endpoint, and I agree. I just know what's happening in front of me. What the result is, I have no idea as of this point. But I really think that the American voters are going to take this matter into their own hands and do what they have to do come November. I mean, and I know that's a ways off, but right now, what are we going to do about this?
I can't see the American voter voting for bumbling Biden, though.
No, I don't. No. Mr. Gas Face himself. No, I don't see that. Or Communist Sanders. I don't. No, it's the American people aren't going to do that. They're too smart for that.
So if there's not going to be arrests, was Trump here to placate us this whole time?
That's a good question. And to be totally honest, I don't know. But I'm starting to see a little cracks in his, in his patriotic armor there.
Don't move a muscle.
The John LeBang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John LeBang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John LeBang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John LeBang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
The upcoming stimulus is completely socialist in nature.
Yeah, it is.
And then, what was it, like a year and a half ago when we had the shooting and he was talking about take the guns first and we'll sort it out after? That bothered me as well. There are little things with Trump that you go, wait a minute, bro, you're not exactly what you were touting when you were running for a president.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm seeing that too, and it's just, and I'm going to say this, as much as there are things I disagree with him on and there are things I agree with him on, but the more that I hear him speak off the cuff, the more I'm thinking, was he the right man for the job, So
yeah, but we didn't have a better choice, so that was our best choice, and here we go again. We don't have a better choice this time around either.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I believe just overall, I believe he will be reelected. So what's going to happen after that? We don't. I mean, vote the lesser of two evils.
Well,
Who's evil?
That's what it ends up being every time.
Yeah.
So who do you think Biden's going to pick as a running mate?
Oh my God, Hillary's name has been floated around. But Tulsi Gabbard, who just recently ended her campaign, I think that her name's been tossed around a bit too. So I don't know. He may choose Sanders as
to get his followers behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking that he needs star power, and I wouldn't put it past him, especially with his popularity with the black vote, if he goes after like an Oprah or Michelle Obama.
I heard that too about a couple of months ago. And I still hear that every so often. It's like Biden better choose Michelle Obama, but and stuff like that. And
I actually think Oprah's a better choice than Obama because Oprah has the star power that. See, Mrs. Obama is going to have a little bit of what Hillary had. People that just will not vote for her at all.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oprah? How do you hate Oprah? Who hates Oprah?
Yeah, exactly. You know her. You may not agree with her. You may agree with her, but she's Oprah. You know what? It's just, yeah.
But again, I still don't think that's enough to take out President Trump. Pence's looked really good in all this on top of it all.
Yeah. It's to me, as I look at it, I mean, I've been looking at all this stuff here in the last several days. I mean, he's some of the things he's said off the cuff, I'm kind of like, really? You know, and then he comes back later on, like the next day in a press conference, and says something totally different. You're going, oh, good, you redeemed yourself. And then the next day he says something off the cuff again. It's like, so you can't, I'm not going to say you don't know where this guy is coming from or where he's going. I think he should, like, read the teleprompter more. I don't know.
You're talking about Trump?
Yeah.
He's been reading. He has a hand note thing. I don't think he likes reading the teleprompter as much as he likes reading like a handwritten note or a hand typed note in front of him. I just think he's more comfortable with that.
I saw that today when I was watching that press conference earlier. So yeah.
You know, we all have our ways. You know, when you do your show, when I do my show, we all have our ways of keeping our notes and what's easier for us. And so, if he doesn't want to use a teleprompter, that's not a big deal to me. In fact, I like the old school way of having a piece of paper. You know, may not be environmentally safe, but who gives a crap?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, have you noticed at these COVID-19 briefings that the president's seal is now gone off the podium, and so is the UN flag behind him? Have you noticed that?
Well, I've noticed that there's no UN flag anymore.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the presidential seal was gone.
Yeah, that's gone from it was on the front of the podium for a while, and now that's gone, and I'm not exactly sure why that is exactly.
Well, if it happens once, no, but if it happens more than that, you don't know. You know, is something up? I'm not even going to speculate from that point. But
what about Pence? Do you think he's being groomed really well for when he comes up for his term to run for president? Because I think he's been. I'm not a fan of Pence. I think he's got beady little eyes and the white hair scares me a little bit. He kind of looks weird. But in general, he's looked pretty dang good.
Yeah, I believe that Vice President Pence is being groomed behind the scenes, because I notice when he does say something, it's not to me, it doesn't sound scripted or rehearsed. It sounds like he's being very genuine, but I also think that somewhere behind the scenes, that's what he was told to be, because, you know, people obviously look at him and, you know, they're kind of freaked out by him. But
he is kind of weird looking, eh?
Yeah, he is. He almost, it's just, I know that something is going on behind the scenes, and I mean, I can't tell what it is yet. Something is going on. And President Trump is out there fighting a good fight, obviously, trying to, you know, keep things calm as best he can. But I think behind the scenes, somebody's, you know, nudging Vice President Pence and going, you know, you're next in line.
Now, we know with the impeachment that the FBI and the Department of Justice were working against the president. How can the president, and I'm wondering if he's got people backing him up, and maybe that's why he's brought in business leaders, but how can he trust the CDC and the FDA, because they would have career bureaucrats as well, wouldn't they? Deep staters in their agencies.
Oh, yeah. There have been deep state operatives in the CDC and the FDA for years. I mean, we wouldn't have GMOs if there wasn't anybody in there. We wouldn't have, you know, subsidies for farmers, you know, if we didn't have them in there. And it's all, again, and I say this, it could be true, it may not be true, but there's pseudo-socialism going on within those departments because of those operatives.
But how do we get rid of it? If Trump isn't going to do any arrest, if he's not going to put the hammer down, how is this ever going to change?
If he doesn't, it's not. But if he, obviously gets reelected, if he does not come out in the first 90 days and start cleaning house like he was supposed to, and people expected him to in the first 90 days of his first term, then yeah, we're not going to see anything good coming out of it. I mean,
if he would have cleaned house, we would have never went through the impeachment.
Exactly. But something was stopping him from doing that. I don't know if it was the laws or I have no idea. I just know that people expected him to, just fire everybody and put other people in the position.
But that's what the Democrats do when they take over, they fire everybody.
Exactly. Obama did it. Clinton did it. It's like, of course, but he didn't do it. Why? I think it has. Well, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate as to why, but I can say that if he doesn't, in the next 6 months, do what he has to do to get rid of those operatives, yeah, his second term is just not going to be all that great.
But he's handicapped for at least 2 more months or longer with this COVID-19.
Yeah, and I believe that was, and I know people are going to call me a conspiracy theorist on this, but I think that was planned. I think there was something in the deep state that they went and did what they had to do to get this ball rolling because, of course, they knew that the impeachment failed and everybody, knew what was going on there, so they had to create another crisis.
So you actually think that this was a man-made event of some sort?
I think that it was. I think there was a plan involved you got to look last summer, or was it last summer or last spring, last year? The Democrats already knew they were fighting like hell trying to get, President Trump out of office. And they kept pushing and pushing. It was harder, and then finally they failed. But I think they had something planned back then. They just couldn't do anything until the re-election or the election cycle, and they had to pull this out of their hat.
So it was very similar. If I'm just trying to boil down your words a little bit, it's very similar to they let it happen. In other words, it was a crisis that was there, and they kind of just let it slip into the country. Very much like 9/11 happened, that some parts of our government just let things happen.
Yeah, and back then it was Vice President Cheney who told the military to stand down, because there was a drill and it's going to be okay. And then obviously we know what happened, but yeah, I think they just went, we're don't look over there. There's nothing over there, that kind of thing. Don't look at the other hand and see what they're doing. My big question is to myself, and I still haven't figured this one out, is why are there labs creating viruses anyway? I mean, to find out how to fight them, and why is anybody doing that? It just, to me, doesn't make any sense. But I do believe that they just let this happen because they knew that something had to be done to stop
the momentum of Trump.
And yeah, that too, and the Democrats know they've lost, but they're doing everything they can to push their issues and their agenda. So they had to create something, whether it be symbolic or figurative or actual, which this thing is. They had to do something to get people against the president. But now people are seeing the president is doing, and everybody behind him is doing everything they can to stop this pandemic.
Bro, I'm hearing die-hard people who hated Trump 2 months ago are telling me that he's doing a great job. So this is not hurting him from what I can tell, just like the impeachment didn't hurt him. He's only getting stronger. And you can almost see in his demeanor, he's handling these press conferences like you see a lot of the other people, they have anxiety in their face. You know, they don't, Trump is handling this, and it's like just another thing he's just wiping off his shoulder.
Yeah. And you got to remember, though, Trump came from a huge business family. You know, his father was a developer. He became a developer. He had business dealings all around the world, dealt with hardcore people that just, you know, didn't want to see things his way or cooperate or anything. So it's just, and like you said, he's just, you know, pushing all this stuff off his shoulder. He's just like, yeah, okay, here we go. Let's take care of this. Let's do this one step at a time.
Well, that's it. He's not panicking. It seems like he's just, okay, this is a problem. We've got to deal with it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Let's pull our sleeves up and take care of this matter, you know.
Now, have you done any prepping yourself?
I have. We don't go out unless we have to go to the store, which I don't think we'll have to for the next few weeks. But we got enough water, and we got MREs, of course, if we need those. There's a lot of stuff we've done. I wash my hands, you know, and all that, so...
What's the feel like out there? Is it tense?
Without going into detail, yeah. We drove downtown, and usually on certain days, like Friday nights or something, you know, there's like bars and stuff open, but now it's just like a frickin' ghost town downtown.
Really? And you haven't had that many cases, and do you get daily reports out of your governor?
I haven't noticed it myself. I've never noticed it, but I try to keep, you know, abreast of what's going on from the information that I find on the internet or people share with me, you know. Like I was trying to find some information while we were talking earlier, and I still can't find it.
That's okay. It's no big deal. The actual numbers don't matter right now. It's going to matter when it's in the hundreds or thousands of deaths. And right now, the deaths are small. Hopefully, from what I can tell, if we want to believe the people running the federal part of this operation, they're telling us, if you stay home, we can cut this curve out and keep it low. I don't see the people, at least in my hometown here, people aren't staying home.
Smoke them if you got them.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back
after this. That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. We've got Ford closed. We've got all these other places closed. And all they're doing, because they're bored, is finding a place to go to. Like the paint stores and other stores that are still open because the employers just are either not taking this serious, or they just don't care about their frontline employees and just want the money, and who cares if they lose $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 or even $10, $11, $12 an hour employees, they'll just get more.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I've like I said, one guy on YouTube was walking around New Orleans, and it was a freaking ghost town. And I look around here in where I'm living, and I see cars driving by, see trucks going by, and it's like people are doing what they do. I mean, we went out and walked around Walmart the other day. We went to Sam's Club. We went to Michael's and stuff. And there was hardly anybody in these stores, so there was no. There was no. people are still going to go out because they're going to get cabin fever. They're going to get bored. They're going to say, okay, let's go for a drive. Drive isn't going to cause any problems, so let's just go driving somewhere and just get out and blow off some steam. Go to the park. I've seen videos where people are in parks where it should be full of people. It's not, so do I take this seriously? I do, because, like I said, people get sick every year, but this is just a little too much for my taste. So we got to do what we have to do, use common sense and logic, and just, if you can, and if you're not part of an essential company that needs you, then just take some vacation time and stay home.
Right, if the companies allow that, because there are a few companies that aren't going to allow you just to take some time off just because there's a scare out there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there's going to be businesses open because they just, hey, I got to stay open. I got to.
What about the supermarkets? How are they looking out there?
We went to Sam's Club. We went to Winco. Winco was, there was maybe, I don't know, a handful, I would say less than 20 people in the whole store, when it's usually, got a lot of people in there, other than the employees. Sam's Club the same way. We hardly saw anybody. Maybe 2 or 3 people, walking around. And
are they stocked up, or?
We went to Sam's Club to get water, and they had a sign that says, the pack of water that you get, 2 per customer, so they were rationing that. The shelves were, I got pictures on my Facebook, so yeah, some shelves were completely empty, and the meat, the food and the meat cases, the freezers and the refrigerators, some of them were completely empty. It's like there's preparing, there's taking care of yourself, but then there's just craziness where people just want to get more of everything. So, and that's ridiculous to me to panic that much.
Well, as my listeners know, I was telling them way back in January just to slowly stock themselves up for when this was coming, so they didn't have to go out and deal with this stuff. And then the people who on the Thursday and Friday a week and a half ago, or whatever it was, 2 weeks ago now, went out and panic bought, whatever it was. I don't even remember what day it was over here, but they went out and just ravaged the stores, and they bought boatloads of TP, and they left behind steaks and all this food that they would much better. I tell you, they would be in much better shape if they took the food home than the TP. But why people bought all that TP? I have no. I don't wipe my ass that much. I don't have to, and I go just as much as any other guy. I'm just saying. So I don't know why people have to use that much TP or need it.
Exactly, me neither. It's like, that's just ridiculous. It's like, to me, I don't panic buy. I mean, I know what we need. We get what we need for, the days that we know we're going to need it, and go from there. We don't sit there and go, oh, we need like 4 months worth of toilet paper. What? Come on, give me a freaking break.
No, right now, in my humble opinion, if you've stocked up for 3 to 5 weeks for every person in your house, you have more than enough to sustain you. If you're buying 3, 4, 5 months out, as of right now, because it hasn't just totally blown up yet, as of right this minute, you went crazy. Now, if it shuts us down for 4 and 5 months, those people are going to look brilliant, and the rest of us are going to be like, crap, we're in trouble.
Yeah, so there is those two sides of the coin on that. The word is that the closures of the non-essential businesses might be longer, and might be longer than they were saying, reopening in April or something. And it's like, they said it might be longer than that. And I'm like, I don't think so. I get the feeling that it's going to pass within 3 weeks or a month. So, I could be wrong, but,
I've heard a lot of people tout the Chinese numbers, but they fail to remember what the Chinese did to keep those numbers down. And they not only rounded up the people that were sick, but anybody else that was related to them or whoever, and they all went bye-bye, and those people were not counted in the COVID-19 deaths. They just went bye-bye. Look at,
Yeah.
they built a hospital, put a bunch of people in it, and then it went, oops, it collapsed on them all.
Yeah.
Oops.
Exactly. God, I know. It's. I look at this from my perspective, from how all this started, and then where it is today, and I just, I know that people are going to panic because they think, oh my God, I'm going to, this is going to happen, and they're going to, have these preconceived ideas of zombie apocalypse, and then they go crazy and panic buy. And like you said, it's like it's either they were the smart ones for 4 or 5 months and we were dumb, or they're the dumb ones and things are going to get fine in the next 3 weeks to a month.
But you know what the best is? All of us that told you to prep for all these years finally are right? They, you don't know how many people have sent me little emails or little messages or said something on my Facebook, dude, you were right all this time. Well, yeah, it just, I didn't know when the thing was going to happen. I just knew stuff was going to come down one day, and y'all weren't going to be prepared.
Exactly. We have. I mean, if the crap hits the fan too much and things go to hell in a handbasket, we don't know what we're going to do. I mean, as far as when that moment happens, but like a good Boy Scout, you got to prepare yourself for the worst and hope for the best. And
That's right.
And if the best happens, and if we get, if things get back to normal within 2 to 3 months or whatever it is, then we're going to applaud and go from there.
Yep. Hopefully it's that. Wayne, any last words before we let you go?
Not really. Just want to, if I can, promote my website.
Go ahead and do it. You got lots of stuff over there.
Thank you very much. It is New West. It's New West Radio Network.weebly.com, and I'm doing a whole lot of stuff other than the current events. So drop over to New West Radio Network.weebly.com, check it out, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, and Wayne and I have collaborated on many different little audio drama things that we both have done separately, and we even recently collaborated with our two universes and brought them together for something.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And we're going to do more, I'm sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, I have not been able to write much comedy while all this is going on. I've tried, and my music hour is just easier to do when my head is not in the right place. Because, I mean, you know it, to write comedy, you better be feeling funny.
Exactly. This is, and I'm currently still writing a sci-fi drama, so I've had to put that on hold because my head is just spinning with all this news. I'm like, well, okay, let me sit and relax and meditate and see what happens. And
you're always looking for voices for those.
I'm always looking for voices.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be a star? Talk to Wayne.
Exactly.
He'll make you a star.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least, I'll give you a shot. You know what I mean?
All right, Wayne, I thank you so much for joining me, and we got to do this again real soon.
Oh, you betcha. Just let me know.
All right, that was Wayne S. Pierce. We've got about a minute left, folks, so let's head out to the phones. Boris in Moscow, Michigan. What say you?
Hello, many time caller. Just like to say that was a good interview. Don't know who the guy was, but it was good.
Okay, Boris, thanks for your call. Our next call goes out to Donald in Washington, D.C.
John, I'm doing my best out here. You have no idea how bad it is, John. It's so bad, it's huge.
Okay, sir, thanks for your call. Our last call for this hour comes in from Shady. What say you?
Better stop at the store and pick up some teepee, John. We're out.
What do you mean we're out? We had like 12 rolls.
Well, you got us all eating that cabbage soup, John, and it's wreaking havoc.
I can't help it, Shady. I'm trying to ration out the food.
Ain't no one complaining, John. Just telling you, we need teepee.
Well, why don't you go out and get it?
Are you kidding me? I'm an old man. I ain't catching no virus from them ugly people out there.
Well, send Leroy or something.
He doesn't want to catch it either.
So you're going to make me go do it?
Well, who else could be the sacrificial lamb? Speaking about that, when you get here, knock on the door before you come in.
Why would I have to knock on my own door?
Well, we don't want to get contaminated, John, so we're going to have to decontaminate you before you get into the house. And then we're going to stick you in the back room for a 2-week quarantine.
I can't be quarantined. I've got a show to do.
Well, maybe you should stay in the studio then, because we ain't letting you in. Now, bye.
Thanks for your call. And with that, folks, I want to thank you for tuning into this broadcast. Thank Wayne S. Pierce for joining us. Don't forget, you can go to the website, www.jlebang.com, and get all the latest information, maybe even check out some of our archived shows. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, I'm John Lebang, signing off from the Banger Studios.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.